Last weekend we were able to participate in the Rexburg area garden tour, and that was a lot of fun. So I thought that maybe I'll do a video just kind of summarizing the things that we talked about on the tour of our garden when people came through, and some of the highlights of things that they were most interested in or that they hadn't known before. So anyways, we'll take you on a little tour of our garden this morning. All right, so everything's pretty mature. It's almost September, and things look pretty good. A lot of people enjoyed our nice, pretty sunflowers, how big they are. They were asking about the variety. They're just a mixed variety. We sent some seed heads home with people to plant their own because some of them are starting to dry up. Once they start looking down and turning yellow, that's when the seeds are ready. Those seeds are in there. I'm surprised the birds haven't been getting at these yet. They will soon enough. All right, Harrison wanted to show people the baby corn. Okay, tell us about the baby corn and what we need to do to find it, find the right ones.
The baby corn is very delicious, and you can hardly see them, but also you can also see that they have hairs on the tops.
Yep, the silk. So when the silk first comes out, that's when they're perfect sized for baby corn, right?
Yeah.
And this is just regular corn. We had an early corn where we did several rows that we called the early corn. It's same variety, but we planted earlier, and then this we wait a few weeks and plant it later so that we have some staggered harvest. All right, go get us one of the baby corn and show us.
Okay. Make it being careful because there's a whole bunch of thorns on here.
So he's trying to find some where the silk is still pretty fresh. That's how you know it's going to be small corn and you're going to be able to eat the whole cob, basically. Just a tiny little guy. That one looks too big, Harrison.
Yeah, I know.
How about this little one right down here? Do you think it's any good?
Do you think this one's a good one?
That looks a little big to me too. How about this little one right there? The silk is pretty fresh still.
Yeah, I think this one's a good one. Wait, no, is this one?
I don't know. See if you can pick it.
Let's see. I'm going to take off this leg first.
Yep.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of real legs. They look weird.
It's all right. You got to break it downward. So, do you need me to do it?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Got
You
it.
got it. All right, bring it out here and let's shuck it.
In here?
Yeah, sure. So we like to use this for like stir fries. Last night we did it in just a mixture of yellow squash and zucchini and a whole bunch of these baby corn. And was it tasty, Harrison?
I think it was delicious.
Yeah, it was really good. We cook them on the grill with some olive oil and then like garlic powder and salt and a chef's choice seasoning. All right. How is it?
Good.
Good. Yep, you can eat them raw or cook them, of course. Harrison likes them raw.
Yeah.
All right, anything else you want to tell him about that?
Not really.
Okay. All right. Harrison, can you tell us about what we do with our extra zucchini?
So if we have extra ones, like some really big ones, we feed them to the pigs, and also the ones that are like perfect size, we eat them.
Yep.
Or sell them.
Yep, Harrison and Reagan get to sell the extras. That's kind of their summer job, huh? How much money have you earned this summer off of zucchini?
$100 basically.
Got $100. Yep, they've done really well this year. All right, should we keep going around on our garden tour?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, I did want to show over here. I'm gonna sneak in past the sunflowers. Okay, so these are
blackberries.
Yep, there are blackberry plants. And believe it or not, These were planted last year in the spring.
And there was like 8 ready yesterday.
Yeah, we ate a bunch of blackberries yesterday. It was yummy. But these ones, let me pause it here. So we planted these blackberries last year in the spring, and the way that we bought them, we ordered them from a company online. If you want the name of the company, let me know in the comments and I'll send it to you. But the way we bought these ones, and they were really cheap, they were less than $1 each, and they came in a 4-inch chunk of just root. There was no plant coming off of them, it was just a root cutting. And we planted them, and you can look, or you can see how in 1 year they grew really well. And so those were pretty successful, and it was a cheap way to get into blackberries. Next year we'll have tons of berries on them. This year we didn't have as many because it takes to the second year crop, or second year wood, I guess, before they really produce. So we only had a few this year that produced. But yeah, they're floricanes. They're a cousin to raspberries, so they grow much like raspberries do. You can see how well they've grown here in this spot. And here's the plant that has been growing quite a bit. These ones aren't ripe yet, of course.
Yeah, but that's
It'll be another
the
week or
plant
so,
that we
probably.
got the blackberries from yesterday.
Yeah. Here's a bunch that are still green. I don't know if they'll make it to being ripe this year or not. We'll see. But you can see that's just, one plant basically, and it's putting on a ton of them. So we're gonna have that many all the way down that whole row next year, which is awesome. You might also see our trellis here. Jackson,
yeah.
Anything you want to tell them about our trellis?
No, I didn't really help.
You weren't one of the ones helping with that project, I guess, huh?
I was.
Yeah, Harrison did. So we've just put it on this fence. It's steel posts.
Put it on the fence and then wrapped it around a few times and then put these like staple loop things and then loop them, put the staple loop things like between them and them. That way they're like connected.
Yeah, we connected them to the wire with those little plant ties. And we've got them running down the length. These are only second year for us as well. We bought them from the same company that we got the blackberries, actually. So they're growing really nicely. Okay, down on this end over here, we've got a whole bunch of sweet meat squash growing. That's our favorite winter squash that we use around the holidays. There's a nice one growing right there. We like those. They store pretty well, and they're a nice, sweet variety. We like to cook them with some brown sugar and bake them until they're tender. Another thing that people were really interested in was our chicken tunnel system. And these chickens, we move the tunnel around and let them eat the weeds for us throughout the garden, and that works pretty nicely. Here, pretty soon, we want to build kind of a moat around the perimeter of the garden, around the fence, all the way, and go all the way around, just to help us keep weeds and bugs and stuff out of the garden. But anyways, that's kind of a fun thing, and those are just IBC totes. If you want to see the video of how we built those, maybe I'll throw a link in the description so you can find that easily. All right, Jackson, do you want to tell people about our wood chips? So go in front of the camera.
Well, it keeps the weeds down, and we never weed over here, and it's really nice. And all Dad did to get them was ask a wood chip company that on the side of the road if they needed a place to get rid of them. So
yeah, for tree trimming, people that were trimming the trees and stuff for the power company. And they gave us several loads worth, which was awesome. And then we just put them in between the garden rows. We need to put some more through here. We've kind of gotten a bunch of dirt in there as we've harvested beets and things like that out of here. The dirt from the beets has found its way in between the rows, so we just need to stack some more wood chips on top. Okay, you might notice these seed heads. Those are onions, and onions produce seeds in their second year, so we're trying to produce some of those. It's really pretty simple to save your own seeds. You can see those little black things inside the seed head there. Those are the seeds. I need to get those ones harvested before they get wet from rain and stuff like that and try to germinate. Down here a little further, we've got some beets that we've let go to seed. Some of this looks kind of messy, but it's purposefully messy, I guess. We want to keep these seeds. So these are beet seeds, and those will grow us some nice beets next year. Right next to the beet seeds, we've got radishes that we've let go to seed. Radishes are nice because they will go to seed within the same year that they're planted, whereas beets and onions and carrots, which I'll show you in a second, they don't produce seeds until their second year. So you have to save them. You can either save them in the house over the winter, or these ones actually we just left last year and didn't harvest them. So these are the carrot seeds here. See if I can get a couple to show you. These ones are actually ready and I need to harvest them too, but yes. Alright, those are the little carrot seeds. I need to, before I store them, I'd kind of rub off the little fuzzy parts. They're not necessary for the seed to germinate, so those are your carrot seeds. Pretty easy to save those. Over here we've got some spaghetti squash, and this is a new variety that I tried this year. It's really green. I've been interested how much green there is in them, but now that they're getting more mature, they're starting to turn a little bit more of a cream color. But we like spaghetti squash, huh, Jackson?
Yeah.
It's one of our favorite things. All right, so then we've got our rows of green beans. They're looking kind of sad now because they've had the dog laying in them and things like that as we've picked them, so they've kind of gotten trampled. At this point, we're just kind of picking fresh what we want to eat periodically, but for the most part, we're letting them get big, and we'll let them dry out and harvest the seeds inside those. So those are nice too because we can harvest the seed the same year we plant them. And we're saving quite a few for seeds this year. Over here we've got some delicata squash. And let's show our potatoes, Jackson. Do you want to dig some out? So this is called the Ruth Stout method for growing potatoes. It's really simple, and I'll honestly never grow potatoes another way. You just put the potato right on the dirt, and then you cover it with hay or straw. And as the potatoes grow, you add more hay and straw, and that's how you hill the potatoes. The reason I like this is I hate that when you bury them in the ground, when you dig them up, you inevitably cut through the biggest and nicest potatoes. So,
I haven't found one yet.
oh, you just gotta move the hay around a little bit more. Gotta go all the way down to the dirt. That's where they're gonna be.
Yep. That's where this one went.
There's some. So quit pulling it out and just move it over to the side. There you go. There's a baby one sitting there, but trying to find some of the bigger ones. Let's go down here where it's a little easier to get into them. Okay. I'm just going to move these out of the way, move this straw out of the way. Oh, there's a good one right there. I don't know if you can see that very well. There we go. So you can see that's a nice big potato for a red potato. There's some more under there. Let's see. Push some more of this straw out of the way. Trying to do it without breaking them off. So I do want them to keep growing. Here's another one. I can feel it with my hand, but if I can get to it. There it is. Kind of dark in there. Anyways, if I wanted to, I could harvest those today and let the plant, just cover them back up and let the plant keep growing. But I don't need to harvest any for right now. Another thing I'll say about this Ruth Stout method, it does work best when you've got some sort of a raised bed system. Having the raised bed helps so that you can stack the hay higher and it keeps the potatoes from getting green. So you can see here, I've got a cottonwood log that we cut the tree down for other reasons this spring to get it to quit shading my greenhouse actually. And we needed to do something with the wood, so we're using those for our raised beds. And that keeps the straw in and the potatoes growing where they're supposed to. Last year we did a couple of the beds more over here where, I don't know, you can see where those carrots are and then the beets. And the problem with that was the hay just kind of spread out and it was hard to keep it stacked high. So more of those potatoes were green, which we don't want. That's poisonous. So anyways, that's a tip that I'll give you, is make sure to do some sort of a system where you can contain that hay and get it stacked high. Something else that people ask about is we've got a bunch of hay and straw bales kind of around the garden, and they asked if we were growing things in them or saving them for next year's potato mulch. But although, yeah, we probably will use it for next year's potato mulch, that really isn't the purpose for this year. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So you can see right here on the edge of our potato beds, we've put these bales of hay all the way down. And we've also got some right here. This is a ditch, an old ditch that we don't use for irrigation anymore. But you can see we did straw bales all the way. That's to kill the grass and keep the grass out of there, out of the garden. Right here, we're gonna plant some of those blackberries and some raspberries next year so that we can plant from inside the ditch, so that we can harvest from inside the ditch and we won't have to bend over quite so much. So that's one of the things that I'm kind of excited about. So you can see this grass along the fence line. Last year, that grass went all the way over to here where these potatoes are growing, and it was kind of invading into the garden. So this year we decided to get these hay bales, and that will act as a barrier to keep the grass out. And it's done a really good job. If it weren't for those bales, that grass would be growing in and everything would just look just like that, which we don't want. Jackson, will you lift up that bale and let people see how it's killed the grass underneath? All right, so you can see in there, no grass, but that's the grass next to it, that it would all look like that if it weren't for these bales. All right, go ahead. Thanks, bud. All right. We also planted some sunflowers out there and down on the edge of the garden. So something I didn't know about sunflowers before is that they produce what's called, I think it's pronounced allelopathic chemicals. And it's just a chemical that they produce and emit into the soil that inhibits or stunts other plant growth. So it's actually really working out nicely for us to have them on the edge of the garden here, because it inhibits other plant growth, that those weeds and other things, grass, that would want to leach into the garden space. So I'll show you what it looks like underneath all these sunflowers, and that there's really not anything growing under there. So keep that in mind, use it to your benefit, but also be careful not to get it so close to your garden produce that it's gonna inhibit the growth of your garden plants. So you can see, oh, guess you're right in the way, aren't you? You can see it's an alfalfa field right outside of the garden here, but underneath all of these sunflowers, they've pretty well, the dog's trying to kiss me, they've pretty well kept other things from growing in there, which is working out pretty nicely for us. And they're just pretty. We really love our sunflowers, and Guess likes to wander through them and lay under them. we want our garden to be a welcoming, nice place to be, so that's why we try to plant flowers around. Next year I kind of want to do some zinnias or some other flowers in addition to the sunflowers. And these sunflowers, they'll probably reseed themselves pretty well. Anywhere we've planted them before, they kind of just keep reseeding themselves and sending up volunteers every year, which is nice. But be careful. There's the garden view from the back side. You can see with some of these straw bales, the danger with straw is that sometimes they've got seeds in them. So that's probably like a wheat seed or barley seed or something that is trying to grow through. So I don't know, you run that risk a little bit, is that they'll spread some seeds of whatever wheat or barley that they had grown from. Something else that I learned just this year, actually, about onions. And I learned this from one of the local greenhouse owners. And he said that if you plant your onions late or in the fall, they'll germinate, they'll sprout a little bit, and then you just leave them right where they're at. They're just tiny, and they'll produce an onion earlier in the season the next year. So they overwinter really well. They're super hardy. And then next spring, they'll have a huge jump or early start on the onions that you would have planted early in the spring. So if you like your onions and you want some earlier in the season, because it takes quite a while to get a nice big bulb, but we found with these, we're getting really nice onion bulbs by middle of June, which usually it's like September or August before you get any onions that are big enough to actually have a good sized bulb on them. So plant your onions late and you'll get some nice early onions in the early summer. All right, Grant wants to show you one of our new favorite garden things that we've grown for the first time this year. What is it, Grant?
Kohlrabi.
Kohlrabi. And that's spelled Kohlrabi, right? So people can find it. Kohlrabi. All right, what do you like about it?
It's just like radishes, but without the spiciness.
Yeah, it has a little bit of a radish taste to it, but it's really mild. So it doesn't have that heat that sometimes radishes have that make them a little too intense, right? You want to show them? So that's what they look like. They're actually in the cabbage family, so they're a brassica. And how do we eat them, Grant?
We just cut off all the sides of the thing.
Yeah, you peel the skin off.
We eat the inside.
Yeah, so you peel it and slice it, and we just eat it raw with some salt, and it's super yummy. Yeah. One of our favorites. You can eat the greens as well. We haven't tried that yet. Another thing we tried this year, that for our first time, usually we do red beets. This year we got some orange beets because they don't stain quite as much, and we wanted to give them a try. But they're a beet, just orange instead of that bright red.
You have a hornet in your side your shirt. It flew.
We'll have to try to get rid of a hornet, I guess. One thing about this garden that is really special is that it's very low maintenance. We've tried to set it up in such a way that you don't have to spend your whole summer slaving away in the garden to be able to have a successful garden. So with the wood chips, and we use the no-till method so that we aren't rotating up and unearthing the old seeds and weeds and things like that that have been in the soil for decades. So we use no-till method, put the mulch on top, and then that prevents weeds from growing. I can honestly say that this summer I haven't spent probably even one single hour weeding in the garden. Now, that doesn't mean nobody has, but I haven't. The kids spent quite a bit of time, I shouldn't say quite a bit, they spent a fair amount of time weeding in the month of June. When the weeds are just small, they'll come through with like a hoe and scrape the top surface of the of the soil on this side with the corn that doesn't have the mulch. That's really the most of what we have to weed because we don't have the mulch over there yet. But they'll do that in June, and by doing that in June, it prevents the weeds from being able to take root and get big, and you don't have the same problems. So if you put in the work up front, you really don't have the same weed problems. So the kids do the weeding in June, and you can imagine how efficient or effective of a job kids do with weeding. Now my kids are hard workers and they do a good job, honestly, but they certainly don't do the job that my wife or I would do, just because they lose interest or whatever and move on, right? But they do a pretty good job, and that prevents us from really having to do much weeding. The other thing that helps is we've put in a drip line system this year. And when you have a drip line, then you're not watering all the weeds in between the rows. And if you're only watering the rows, I'm trying to show this drip line. So if you're only watering the rows of plants, it prevents a lot of weeds as well. Last year we did soaker hoses because we hadn't put in the drip line yet, and that worked, but it was just a lot more labor intensive because you had to move the soaker hose, several times a day when it was time to water. With these, I just set it on our sprinkler system timer and it waters automatically and no problem. We were gone for most of the month of July with family reunions and camping trips and whatever else. And we came back at the beginning of August and it still looked great. We didn't have to worry about water. We didn't have to worry about weeding that whole month. And, we really haven't done any weeding since, even the kids. So, setting up the work or doing the work early to set it up really helps a lot with your weed management and the work that you have to put into it all season long. So anyways, that's kind of what we do to make it a maintenance-free or low-maintenance garden.
They smell good.
What are you two up to?
We're cooking grasshoppers.
For
Look
what?
how many we caught for us to eat.
They're
Look
turning
how many
pink.
we caught. That's
They're
like
turning pink.
50.
You guys are gross. What gave you this idea?
Lincoln.
No, I was.
Yes, you asked
Yes,
me.
I asked.
Alright, you want some garlic powder?
For
There you go. Or
veggies.
garlic salt, I guess.
How much we put on?
You decide. It's your thing.
You do it. If it tastes bad, it's your fault.
I think there's a lot of reasons this might taste bad.
Dad, be quiet. I think.
Okay,
I think
just move
that's
this.
Can't wait to see how you like them.
Or if I just.
They smell
There's
really
a
good.
50.
Smell like garlic.
There's a 70% chance I'm gonna dislike them. 30% chance I'm gonna like them.
Okay.
And those are high chances.
What? That's.
Grasshopper burger. That's what we should do next.
Well. That's gonna taste terrible.
So satisfying.
Wait, Lincoln, look on the back of yours.
Why is it?
Even the sound of that sounds disgusting.
It's because they burnt.
Alright. So, nope, stay back there so we can video you. Alright, you ready?
Yep. Oh, they're hard.
Okay, so you can't waste time. You gotta put them right in, otherwise my video will run out. Okay. How is it?
They're definitely burnt.
Definitely, I can only taste the burnt.
You guys are weird.
No, I actually.
Do you want to try one?
Nope. It's actually a grasshopper.
Rip off the
Alright,
wings
here.
and legs.
It's fine.
Oh,
All right, is Reagan gonna try one?
Is it tasty? You like it? Apparently she went
Who
for
should try it?
seconds.
Try the
Go ahead.
one.
try this one. It's pretty big.
You dropped one.
Oh no, precious cargo.
I'll be back.
Tastes like chicken. Just kidding.